Now, this is up on Infowars.com and Newswars.com as a video report. But we really ought to be, from the highest rooftops, yelling out, the U.S. Surgeon General did the second autopsy, not just the first medical exam. They're in Dallas, and they found he'd been shot through the throat. But they did a tracheotomy that wasn't needed long after he was dead to cover it up. Everything that the late, great Jim Mars and everybody else said was the case, that the JFK movie broke down with Oliver Stone, all vindicated, and all of you vindicated. But the headlines, the one paragraph you need to read from the JFK assassination files that may change everything. That's from Zero Hedge. And then you read it, and it's a direct document from the FBI memo that the CIA got that had classified. And it goes on to say the Surgeon General report, which again they made classified, on the assassination stated that the first bullet entered the president's throat below the Adam's apple, clearly showing that the two persons were involved, with the first shot being fired from the bridge across the parkway in front of the car, which is what hundreds of witnesses said, and hundreds of witnesses then all died in their garages, got run over by cars, got shot in the back of the head. Continuing to further substantiate this, and it gets into their CIA and FBI contacts, there was a bullet hole in the windshield of the presidential limousine. And there's more. I mean, boom, ladies and gentlemen, here's the big takeaway. They suppressed the U.S. Surgeon General's autopsy of President John Fitzgerald Kennedy that found he was shot through the throat from the overpass, not just the grassy knoll, which is what hundreds of witnesses pointed and said they saw. Then E. Howard Hunt gets arrested in a railway car 200 yards away with the rifles. And he was only one of the most famous assassins in the world at the time. One of the most famous assassins ever, that Ethan Hunt's based on a Mission Impossible, is found with a bunch of guys dressed up like hobos in a train container filled with weapons, and they're all released hours later, and now you've got the document from the FBI and the CIA declassified by Donald John Trump in 2017. Who thought you would ever live to see this, ladies and gentlemen? How ultra-massive is this? How huge is it to know this and to understand this and to see this? It is just so amazing, so mind-boggling. And then it just gets more insane from there. Because I got a text message last night from Tim Kennedy, who's going to be in studio with us tomorrow, the Green Beret and famous sniper and UFC champ, a UFC heavy contender. He sent me information saying, look at this. It's all right here for everybody to see. And in the new data dump from the Central Intelligence Agency, we're going to come back and talk more about this. It's the CIA saying their operatives in South America documented that there was a huge German community that had run there with hundreds of billions of dollars after World War II, and that they were there and that Hitler was being protected, basically, and they gave this information over. And document cam, please. There's even a photograph, and we'll blow this up and put this on screen when we come back in the next segment. But this is simply amazing. So there it is on Tim Kennedy's Twitter. I've retweeted it at Real Alex Jones, and you can read the whole thing. This is declassified by the President of the United States. So they tried to keep this from coming out, but he put it out. Oh, and there's more coming up when we return on the other side of this quick break, ladies and gentlemen. Not just that Kennedy was shot from the back and the front, as we always said. No, it's also in the FBI files that Lyndon Baines Johnson was KKK. It's all happening in front of our eyes. Everything hidden is being brought to light, just like the Bible said. The world government, the cancer viruses and the vaccine, the fluoride causing brain damage. It's all coming out. It's all coming out, all of it. It's amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Alex Jones, your host. I just cannot believe that we've lived to see this, all of us together. The president declassified last Thursday night at midnight 2,800 plus documents, as they're called by the CIA. An additional 200 plus were held back, not by him, but by the CIA, countermanding his orders. On Saturday morning, a day and a half later, he ordered them to be released. This is simply incredible. What an amazing time to be alive. And then what's in them? What is in the CIA's files? From what the media says is the bastion, of supposed truth, who've been lying to us for decade after decade after decade for 54 years since Kennedy was shot by multiple shooters in Dealey Plaza in Dallas, Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, the articles, the videos, the documents are on Infowars.com. They're posted in an article titled, "The One Paragraph You Need to Read from the JFK Assassination Files That May Change Everything." And it is the Surgeon General's office that conducted the official autopsy on the president, saying that he was shot through the windshield in the front, into the front of the neck, out the back of his spine, just like the Zapruder film shows, before he gets shot again from the front, from the grassy knoll, and the whole back of his head blows off. Anybody knows you shoot somebody with a high-powered rifle, tiny hole where it goes in, big, giant, gaping hole in the back, and sometimes it blows the whole back of the head off because it causes a shockwave through the brain tissue that explodes out the back. And now, ladies and gentlemen, bigger than Dallas, pun intended. We don't just have the Zapruder film and the president being shot from the overpass that hundreds of witnesses watched, or the back of his head then blowing off when he gets shot in the front of the head again. No, ladies and gentlemen, we have the Surgeon General's report. That's what we have. We have the Surgeon General's classified secret report from the FBI and the CIA in these documents, page after page after page of it. Wow. What do you think the establishment thinks of that? Ladies and gentlemen, if you just joined us, here's the big news. It's in the JFK files that Trump has now released in full after the CIA tried to block him on Friday. The remaining files were released, and we now know why. It was the Surgeon General's office that did the secret autopsy that's always remained classified. And they said the witnesses, the cops, all saw people shooting from the knoll and the overpass, but we've got the windshield hole from the front. That's in the front. And we've got the entry hole small in the neck and big in the back at the spine. He was shot from the front. In fact, mainly straight on from the front, and from the front at an angle, blowing the back and the side of his head off. Ladies and gentlemen, the big old giant JFK cover-up has come crashing down. Did you ever think you'd live to see it? And then let's get to the other news. Tim Kennedy, UFC star, Green Beret, Patriot, Special Forces operator, good friend of mine, sniper, is coming in studio to give us the exclusive tomorrow before he goes on a mission for months that he can't get into. Dealing with the Central Intelligence Agency via the president declassifying photos and documents and CIA operatives witnessing Hitler in South America and even talking to people that were working with him. And in the last 2 episodes of Hunting Hitler on History Channel, Tim Kennedy has gone down there and found German towns hidden in the middle of the mountains and all sorts of stuff, and witnesses getting in their faces when they bring it up, and people still wearing Nazi uniforms. Now, I can't get into what's coming up in the next season because I haven't even been told. But he says it dovetails with all this, and I'm going to leave it right there. He is in studio tomorrow to go over all of this. This is simply incredible. But remember what I told you decades ago, because it was already declassified. So much of what I cover, the media just says I'm making up, hoping you're dumb and don't go look up the fact that it's been declassified. Here it is from the Central Intelligence Agency's homepage. Central Intelligence Agency, Operation Paperclip, the secret intelligence program to bring Nazi scientists to America. 36,000 of them from CIA.gov. So if they're going to bring tens of thousands to run NASA and run the psychology departments and psychiatry and mind wars and InfoWar and have them basically run everything and fight the Cold War and be put in number 2 positions or number 1 positions everywhere because they were a breakaway criminal group that the deep state could fully control, who they had on a short leash. That's why they were put in charge over Americans. And they were cunning, smart, brave, whatever you want to call it, quite evil, many of them. They were brought in to run this country and create the deep state. That's why so much of our deep state looks like a Nazi operation. So anybody doubting that Hitler could have been allowed to live or that Hitler could have been brought into South America, they found the old submarines, they found the German communities. They know thousands of Nazis went down there and were allowed to go down there if they were too hot to handle, like Klaus Barbie and Adolf Hitler and others. And what adds credence to this is the Russians for 40 years said they had the skull of Hitler dug up from outside the Reich Chancellery and the bunker under it. It was genetically tested, and it was confirmed by the Russians and the West to be a woman's skull. It's not even Adolf Alois Hitler's skull. Again, if our government, if our shadow government was going to bring in 36,000 prominent Nazis to form a shadow government in the United States at the end of 1945, and only hang a few of them were prominent Nazis who they'd actually captured for show. Most of them ended up dying, of cyanide pills, like Hermann Goering and others inside of their jail cells. Hermann Goering, Heinrich Himmler, you name it. Then, of course, they'd let Hitler escape. Because there's an old thing with the globalists and empires and royalty, to let the heads of state escape. Don't kill them, because if you ever got taken over and defeated, you don't want to be killed. Now, they've ignored that in past decades, but a lot of evidence shows Hitler did live until the late 1950s, and that's what these documents show, that Hitler was photographed in 1955. This was microfilmed in 1963. And this is just some of the stuff that is in the JFK files. Absolutely intriguing. And then in closing, the KKK said it had documented proof of Lyndon Baines Johnson was a member and gave it to the FBI. Everybody already knew that. Everybody knew about Robert Byrd and the Clintons and the KKK and Margaret Sanger. You can just type in Margaret Sanger KKK and see her in Life magazine at KKK rallies back when it was a mainstream group and organization. The whole point is this is who the Democrats are, and it's why they use race-based politics with minorities now, trying to bring back the good old days of race-based politics. A truly evil, sickening group and organization. Now, finally, it's not a secret that InfoWars has been proven right about thousands of topics, or that we broke the news a week and a half ago that Trump would bring out the JFK information and got attacked for it, but we're proven right. I mean, it's on a daily basis. When you simply financially support us by going to InfoWarsStore.com and getting water filtration and books and films and hundreds of different T-shirts that spread the message of liberty and help you meet like-minded people as well. When you do that, it changes the world, and I salute you, and I thank you. We're running some big specials on high-quality colloidal silver that's about to end, 50% off. On Anthroplex, that just amazing libido, stamina, energy, that's 50% off. Winter Sun, the vitamin D3 that you really need in the winter, or if you're a night owl, that's 50% off. We've never done that. But I'm doing it because when we do the sales, people get even more of the products and find out how great they are. So I'm not discounting these because we're not selling them. I'm discounting them because we're selling so much, it allows us to scale up and cut prices to you, where when you sign up for auto ship and get an additional 10% off, and InfoWarsStore.com takes like 5 seconds to do, you can cancel anytime, get an additional 10% off. So things like supplements or coffee or water filter stuff that you're going to reorder, sign up for auto ship, cancel anytime, every 14, 30, 60, 90, every 6 months, you name it, you get 10% off additionally. And know that you're funding the tip of the spear that the globalists are attacking and trying to shut down. If they can shut us up, they can shut Drudge up, they can shut Hannity up, they can shut everybody up. So I want to thank you all for your support and your prayers. The world's waking up. Whoever thought we'd live to see this coming out, and even more is happening. And it's because Donald John Trump is in office. He's not perfect, just like you or I, but he means well. And we're the reason he's there. So let's keep doing it. I'll be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central, David Knight, 8 a.m. Central as well, Infowars.com/show. God bless you all.